Welcome back. I hope you guys are finding the Section 12J investment instrument to be something that is going to get you from zero to hero in a short space of time. There are questions that have been coming through the screen, and one of them has asked, do you have to invest by Sunday? And what Chris Hart said before he left, and the impact in the Joseph Company, you can register your interest before Sunday. Send us an email. We'll send a link out now where you can just give us your details. You don't have to commit now, but then the commitment has to be made prior to the Sunday deadline, meaning that you can just say, this is my name, this is my email address, this is my number, and then you can be registered on the people who want to exercise Section 12J. Should you find out a week later or so that you're not really interested in it, it's not something you want to do, then that way it's easy to unwind and you can get your deposit back. But if you decide after Sunday, unfortunately, then you would have missed the boat. I hope that answers the question. So, yes, register the interest by now. You don't have to pay your deposit by now. You can pay the deposit later than Sunday, but at least the interest will be registered for now. Okay. Oh, sorry, did I make an error there? Okay, the deposit will have to be paid by Sunday as well. Okay, thank you very much. Speaking of Section 12J, you're not a stranger to 12J yourself. You've set up quite a few Section 12J structures.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've had my fair share. We've paid some school fees and we've done what we needed to do.
It segues quite nicely into our discussion. So I've got Stembile Zwane.
Stembiso.
Stembiso Zwane. Stembile. This is what happens when you watch too much soccer. Hey?
Yeah.
And you're from Fulo Capital. Perhaps give us a rundown of maybe who you are, what you guys do, and how what you guys do ties together with the BMO Institute and the Joseph Company.
So I think maybe just to start off is, okay, so I'm Stembiso Zwane. Yeah, I had to just take it home just a bit, just to ease and calm down everything. But basically, I've been in corporate advisory for probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I've seen Section 12J grow exponentially from just 14 registered 12Js to over 160 plus to over 180 over the last 4 or 5 years when it started gaining traction. And where Fulo actually started was that we actually wanted to start a 12J, but we realized that what we wanted to do in essence is that 12J limits us too much. So what we want to do is we want to tackle the bigger projects, the 100 million rand projects, the 500 million rand projects, the billion rand projects, and we decided to shift the mindset into that. And, be that as may, we walked this journey, and then I met the BMO group, the BMI group, 2 years ago. And we've been just working together on these things, and then they've been bringing us some quite lucrative projects, and we've said, okay, we'd like to partner with these guys on a couple of things, and then we can take it from there.
Speaking of partnership, just so that we understand how this fits together, what you guys at Fulo do, you provide gap funding, and my understanding is that you're also very interested in the livelihood of the student. I call it pimping them from where they are right now to the next level. Perhaps double-click on that.
Look, I mean, you could say it's pimping, but I don't like the word. So what we like to do is that, as at Fulo, we are very big on the social impact that we make, because we are a social development infrastructure fund to begin with. So we're very big on the social impact, and if there's little to no social impact, we won't look at the project. So I think I'll talk about it more, during the presentation. But typically, our target is that we go for the historically disadvantaged universities.
Yeah.
So universities in Sosha, TUT, Northwest, where, as a black student growing up, you had problems, or you're a villager, you come to the city for the first time, and then you stay, Kopinyana, and, so we wanted to change that, and that's the vision. That's the vision.
All right. I suppose this is a good time to then segue into your presentation, where you can just take us through some of the elements of what Fulo Capital does, and then we'll have a mini Q&A afterwards just to wrap it up nicely.
I'd love that. Thank you.
All right, cool. Let's do the presentation. Sorry.
So first up, I think, like I said, so we're a majority black-owned investment management company, Fulo Capital. We were started, well, we were in seed stages of probably 3 years ago. Like I said, we started as a Section 12J, realized that that's not for us, and we decided to move on. Not because there's anything wrong, but we're just limited by the quantum in which we want to invest in, and the projects and the impact that we want to make on these investments, So I think maybe just to give you an overview of what our mandate is. So our mandate is social development infrastructure, And with that, people will probably ask, what is social development infrastructure? How do we go about doing this? How do we go about doing that? And, just specifically put, our primary focus is only on student accommodation and the social impact side of student accommodation. So, we have our CIO, Original King, who was telling us about his experience, going to varsity for the first time, and how he's actually experienced the living conditions of being 5 or 6 kids in one room or one house, so as to say, and them not being able to actually study properly. The accommodation was run down and all that kind of stuff. So, you're bound to fail if you don't have a safe space. I wouldn't say safe space, but a space whereby you're not. You have to self-motivate.
Yeah.
You're not motivated to work, but you're motivated by the situation that's around you. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to redesign. We've taken it upon ourselves to actually redesign the experience that students are going to have at university.
Understood.
And it starts with the social impact, the social living. It must be sociable. It must be spacious. You're trying to create a space for life. We're trying to create an environment whereby these kids can actually they want to go to school.
Thrive,
Once they leave the village, they're coming to the city for the first time, but they want to thrive. They must be comfortable.
So it's
soft life.
It's
kind
almost
of
like the
vibe.
difference of going to an old office block versus going to like a Google type of environment.
You don't
It's
want
still
the
it's
conventional.
still office space, but man,
I
they're not
mean, you want the
equal,
beanbag there next to you, just to bounce up and down for some inspiration from time to time.
Yeah, I know, got you.
So we have 3 funding solutions that we bring to the table on the project side. So we have, for instance, we have on-campus accommodation, where if we have our own flagship projects that we're about to break ground on, whereby we develop the project, we build, we design, we operate, and then the plan is to actually transfer onto the university at the end of the term. So we'll enter into probably a 25-year rental agreement with the university, and then we'll take the full development risk as Fulo Capital, and then at the end of the term, we'll either sell after 10 to 12 years, dependent on who's going to come on board, whether it be private or public or whatever the case may be. The second funding solution that we have is for off-campus. And usually on the off-campus side, we don't do accommodation that's more than 3 kilometers away from the university, solely because we want the impact. So it's the students that we want to have that experience of, I can stay late at on campus and not having to worry about whether I'm going to get mugged on the way home, or whether I can access the lab after 5, but I still have another kid who can access the lab after 5. I'm disadvantaged because I stay 40 k's away. I need to wait for the bus. I need to take the last bus. We're trying to eliminate all of that and actually give you a proper place for you to stay, to feel safe. Must be affordable as well, because we cater majority for NSFAS students. So it is those households that are more on the low income side. And then the last one would be where BMI would come in, where the quasi-equity side. So if there's a project that comes together and they say, okay, cool, here's a project, can you partner with us on this? We'll say, okay, cool, let's have a look at it. And then what do you need? Do you need equity? Do you need debt? Let's get together. We'll give you some equity on the project. Of course, then if we give you the equity, then we'd like to participate probably at the at the facilities management side. Yeah.
All right. No, wonderful. You done?
So basically, again, we're speaking to impact. Again, we're speaking to impact, and there's nothing better than impact. We want to afford a student a space for life. I can't stop stressing how much
Give us an example about the space for life, for instance.
Okay, so I'll give you a personal experience, right? So I went to varsity college, okay, and I stayed at home, right? I have a friend who came from Zululand, so Idlangubo, in KZN. Yeah, and it was his first time in the city. And he stayed at a res in town, run-down res. There were actually 5 of them in one room. So it was for him. It was hey, stay in bed. I can't study. I can't do this. I can't do that. Eventually, I was like, hey, come over to my place. Let's go and study. And then when we got home, he was like, wow, why? Kanjani? How? And this is something that I would like for other kids to experience as well. I'll have a personal testimony as well, whereby there was a kid that we funded, also from the village. Today is a doctor, and he used to stay in a one room, but he used to stay in a one room where I think there were 8 of them. So he had 7 other siblings. He had no parents, right? And he could not study. So we decided, okay, you know what, let's go and pay for your accommodation in town, and then you can go there and study, and then on weekends you can go home. And
so that whole Indriya's in Zizwa vibe, you guys kind of make sure that it's more palatable.
Yeah, we want to eliminate that and actually just give you an opportunity to actually strive and focus and actually get to where you want to be in life. And
look, I suppose your environment is quite important when you study. It's not just about the fact that you go to school, but what are the conditions around that. You may very well find that you're in the same class, but then the disadvantages are more nuanced for people who don't have the facilities around them to support the learning environment. Now, I really dig what you do. So it's both gap funding, which is both on the equity side and on the debt side.
Yes, correct.
And what Muma does then, Muma can bring you guys projects. You guys can partner with them, or you do partner with them on that basis. And as you said, that if you take one portion or the other, as long as the deal just makes sense for you guys,
we have to be. So I'm sorry,
you'll help support that.
But we are unashamedly commercial. I think that also needs to be said, is that we are all of it. So I mean, but also I'd like to say that we also just work with majority Black-owned developers, for obvious reasons, that we also a majority-owned Black company, and we'd like to see more Black developers come through the markets. And
Dude, you could not have put it better. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.